He was just 16, full of dreams, laughter, and love for everyone around him. But one night in Jacksonville, Florida, everything changed forever. Makye Vogel stepped outside a birthday party and never came back. What happened that night, and why was his life taken so soon? If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Now let's start this heartbreaking story of Makye Vogel. In Jacksonville, Florida, there was a young man whose energy could light up even the darkest room. His name was Makye Vogel, and at just 16 years old, he had already made a name for himself as someone unforgettable. Kai wasn't just another teenager. He was the type of person who left a mark on everyone who met him. With his infectious smile, sharp sense of humor, and kind heart, he became the glue that held his friends and family together. Kai's mother, Heather, remembers him as a vibrant soul full of dreams and endless curiosity. He was the second oldest of his siblings, and he took that role seriously. Whenever the younger ones needed help with homework, advice about life, or just someone to make them laugh, Kai was always there. "He was my right hand," Heather once said. "He made me proud every single day. He was funny, confident, and loved to make people smile. Whether it was cracking jokes at family dinners, goofing off during school, or making videos with his friends, Kai's energy was magnetic. His laughter echoed through the house, his friends' cars, and every basketball court he ever played on. Basketball was more than just a hobby. It was his passion. His friends often joked that he had a ball in his hands more than his phone. He dreamed of going pro one day, or at least doing something that would make his family proud. Still, Kai had big plans beyond sports. He once told his mom he wanted to become a chiropractor. He said he wanted to help people feel better, Heather said. That was Kai, ambitious, caring, and determined to succeed. One of Heather's favorite memories of her son was a night at Disney on Ice. She hadn't expected her teenage sons to enjoy it, but they laughed louder than anyone else in the crowd. Watching Kai, Jai, and their friend Jerry was hilarious, she recalled. They were acting like little kids again. Anissa and I couldn't stop laughing. It was one of those moments that defined who Kai was: joyful, playful, and always bringing light to those around him. But behind that laughter, Kai also had a maturity that set him apart. He looked out for his siblings and friends, never letting anyone feel left behind. His friends would often come to him for advice, knowing he'd listen without judgment. He was loyal to his circle, never turning his back on anyone. Kai's personality was larger than life. He loved his hot Cheetos, lemonade, chicken curry, and his grandma's mac and cheese. He loved his Jordans, designer clothes, and the color red, a color that would later become a symbol of remembrance at his vigil. He watched Naruto and Goodfellas, played hours of 2K and GTA, and could quote scenes from Scarface by heart. He was a teenager full of dreams, love, and life. But in early April 2023, tragedy struck. Kai's laughter would soon be silenced in a way no one could have imagined. He had gone to a friend's birthday party, something completely ordinary, something any 16-year-old should be able to enjoy. But what happened that night changed everything. Kai stepped outside to take a phone call. He told his friends he'd be right back. Minutes passed, then hours. When he didn't return, his friends thought maybe he'd left early. But when the news came the next morning, everyone's world shattered. Kai had been found dead outside the Avenue's apartment complex. His life, so full of promise and joy, was gone in an instant. Jacksonville lost a bright light that night. His friends lost a brother. His mother lost her heart, and a community was left asking one question: why? April 1st, 2023. It was supposed to be a night of laughter, music, and celebration. A birthday party at the Avenue's apartment complex on Bay Meadows Circle had drawn a crowd of local teens. Among them was 16-year-old Makye Vogel, who was just days away from his 17th birthday. He'd been looking forward to it all week, joking with his friends about what kind of cake he wanted and what they'd do for his big day. The night started like any other. Kai arrived with his friends, dressed in his usual stylish clothes, confident and smiling as always. He was surrounded by familiar faces, friends from school, kids from the neighborhood, people who all knew and loved him. Music played through the speakers, the sound of laughter filled the air, and for a while it was just another fun night in Jacksonville. But sometime around 10 p.m., things changed. Kai's phone rang. He stepped outside the apartment to take the call, telling his friends he'd be right back. It was a small moment, something so ordinary, so harmless. But that simple step outside would be the last time anyone saw him alive. Minutes passed. Then an hour. His friends began to notice that Kai hadn't come back. At first they assumed he'd gotten a ride home or gone to meet someone. No one imagined that something terrible had happened. Why would they? This was Kai, always responsible, always quick to check in. But when the party ended and he still hadn't returned any calls or texts, a sense of unease began to grow. By morning, the worry turned to fear. Word spread fast through the community that something was wrong, and before long that fear was confirmed. Kai had been found dead outside the Avenue's apartment complex, not far from where the party had been held. The news hit like a lightning strike. A 16-year-old, funny, kind, full of dreams, gone in an instant. No one could understand how it happened or why. Police quickly arrived on the scene, but the details of what occurred that night remain unclear. What was known was heartbreaking. Kai had been shot and killed. A young life cut short by senseless violence. For his family, the news was unbearable. Heather, his mother, remembers the moment she found out. Her knees gave way, her world shattered. The son who had filled her home with laughter was gone forever. Friends from school flooded social media with tributes, disbelief written across their posts. "Not Kai," one wrote. "He was just at the party, man. He didn't deserve this." Another friend simply said, "He was supposed to turn 17 next week." The shock rippled through Jacksonville. The community mourned not just a teenager, but a symbol of joy and hope. Kai's death was one of several youth shootings that year in the city, part of a tragic pattern that left families searching for answers and justice. But for those who knew him, this wasn't about statistics or headlines. This was about Makye, the boy who loved basketball, who stayed up late playing video games, who made everyone laugh with his goofy impressions. This was about the son who hugged his mother every morning before school and told her he loved her. As detectives began investigating, they asked anyone with information to come forward. Rumors spread. Some said it was an argument gone wrong. Others claimed jealousy or mistaken identity. But none of that could ease the pain or fill the void left behind. For his best friends, like Jerry and Elijah Peanut Carter, the night was surreal. Just days earlier they'd been laughing, planning for Kai's birthday. Now they were lighting candles and praying for him. "His murder changed my whole life," Peanut later said. "I don't show love anymore. I don't trust people. I haven't been the same since." What happened to Kai that night remains a haunting mystery, one that continues to weigh heavily on the hearts of those who loved him most. Even though Makye, Kai, Vogel's life was cut short far too soon, the love and laughter he left behind continued to echo in the hearts of everyone who knew him. His friends and family often say that Kai had a way of making ordinary days unforgettable. He wasn't just another teenager, he was a presence. Bright, bold, and full of life. His mom, Heather, often finds herself replaying moments in her mind, moments that now feel like treasures. One memory that always makes her smile is from a few years back when she insisted on taking all the kids to Disney on ice. At first, Kai wasn't thrilled about going. It wasn't exactly the kind of event a teenage boy was excited for, but once they arrived, Kai's playful spirit took over. He laughed, danced, and even sang along. Watching Kai, Jai, and their friend Jerry was so funny, Heather recalls. "I think they had more fun than Amir. Anissa and I couldn't stop laughing. It was one of those nights you wish you could freeze in time." That was Kai, always finding the fun, always turning something simple into something special. His friends remember him the same way, full of jokes, quick with a grin, and always ready to stand up for the people he cared about. Jerry, who met Kai back in 5th grade, says their friendship started with a basketball game. "He was killing me on the court," Jerry laughed, "but that's how it all started. We never stopped hanging out after that." They got into their fair share of adventures, like the time they took Jerry's mom's car, with her permission, and let Kai drive. It ended with the car stuck in a huge puddle of water. "We were laughing so hard we couldn't even think straight," Jerry said. "I took the blame, but it was totally Kai who was driving." Then there was Elijah Peanut Carter, another one of Kai's closest friends. The two met in 7th grade and their bond was instant. Peanut recalls one night when they told their parents they were sleeping over at each other's houses. But instead, they spent the whole night walking around town, hanging out with girls and joking until sunrise. "We got caught," Peanut said, "but it was worth it." That night was pure fun. That's the kind of person Kai was, and he made life feel exciting. But behind all the laughter, there was another side to Kai, a loyal and caring one. He was known for looking out for people, especially kids who were bullied. If someone was being picked on, Kai stepped in.
He didn't like seeing anyone treated unfairly, Heather said.
He had this natural protector energy about him. At home, that protector role showed in every part of his life. He was the man of the house, the one who helped his mom when she needed it most. Whether it was helping with chores, running errands, or watching over his younger siblings, Kai always showed up. "He was my right hand," Heather said softly. He helped keep everything together. He loved spending time with his siblings, Jaden, who he'd play video games with, Anyesa, who he teased endlessly, and Amir, the youngest, who he spoiled with late-night Wendy's runs for a biggie bag. His siblings adored him. To them, Kai wasn't just a brother, he was their hero. Even his little quirks are remembered with love, like how he couldn't take a serious photo without making a silly face, or how he'd flash his cheesy grin whenever someone tried to scold him. His favorite saying, "It'd be like that sometimes," has become something his friends now repeat often, a phrase that somehow feels comforting in his absence. Kai's favorite things, his love for chicken curry, hot Cheetos, lemonade, his Oma's mac and cheese, and designer clothes, now serve as reminders of who he was. His mom keeps some of his Jordans and shirts folded in his room, still smelling faintly like his cologne. "Sometimes I just sit in there," she said, "because it feels like he's still around." In the months after his death, friends gathered often at his favorite hangouts, the basketball courts, the local beach, or just outside the Avenue's apartments, to talk, remember, and honor him. They shared stories, laughed about old jokes, and cried about what could have been. Because for them, Kai wasn't just a memory. He was a light that still burns, even in the darkest moments. The night Makye Kai Vogel was killed, everything changed. Not just for his family, but for an entire community. A teenager full of love, humor, and potential was gone, and the shock rippled through Jacksonville, especially among those who knew his laughter best. When the news spread that a 16-year-old boy had been shot outside a party, disbelief quickly turned to heartbreak. People who had seen Kai just hours earlier couldn't process it. His mom, Heather, remembers the call that shattered her world. "At first, I didn't believe it," she said. "I kept saying, 'Oh, no, not my baby,' and it didn't feel real. He was supposed to come home that night." Kai had gone to a birthday party at the Avenue's apartment complex on Bay Meadow Circle, a place where teens gathered often to celebrate and hang out. But sometime after stepping outside to answer a phone call, everything went horribly wrong. Moments later, gunfire erupted, and Kai never made it back inside. The senselessness of his death still haunts his family. No parent should ever have to bury their child, especially one so young, so full of dreams. "I replay that night over and over," Heather said quietly, "wondering if I could have done something, said something. But the truth is, this world is cruel sometimes. My baby didn't deserve that." The loss tore a hole through the Vogel family. Kai was more than just a son or brother. He was the glue that held so much together. His younger siblings struggled to understand why their big brother wasn't coming home. For months, Jaden would ask where Kai was. Amir would cry himself to sleep, and Anyesa stopped smiling as much. "It felt like our house went silent," Heather said. "He was our laughter, our energy. Without him, it was like someone turned off the lights." Even Kai's friends found themselves lost in grief. Elijah Peanut Carter, one of his closest companions, admitted that he hasn't been the same since. "His murder changed my whole life," Peanut said. "I don't show love anymore. I don't trust people. It's like a part of me died too." Kai's friend Jerry said that even after all this time, he still scrolls through old photos and videos, unable to believe his friend is gone. "Every time I look at his smile, I think about how unfair it is," Jerry said. "We were just kids trying to make something of ourselves. He didn't deserve that ending." At school, the mood was heavy. Teachers, classmates, and coaches all felt the weight of losing such a promising young man. His basketball coach called him a spark, someone who brought both talent and leadership to the court. "He wasn't just a player," the coach said. "He was motivation for others, always helping, always encouraging." In the days following his death, social media flooded with messages of love, disbelief, and grief. Photos of Kai in his red hoodies, videos of him dancing, laughing, and goofing around, all became tributes. His friends changed their profile pictures, shared memories, and wrote messages like, "Rest easy, legend," and "We love you forever, Kai." For Heather, scrolling through those posts was bittersweet. "I smiled through the tears," she said. "It reminded me how many people my son touched, but it also reminded me how much we lost." On April 11, 2023, just 10 days after his murder, Kai's family and friends came together for a candlelight vigil. What would have been his 17th birthday? They gathered at sunset wearing his favorite colors, red and black. Balloons filled the sky as everyone sang, prayed, and cried together. "We wanted to celebrate him, not just mourn him," Heather said. He would have wanted that. People laughing, remembering the good times. At the vigil, stories poured out. Stories of Kai's generosity, humor, and courage. Friends told how he stood up for others, how he would give away his last dollar if someone needed it. His teachers described him as curious and sharp, a student who could make anyone laugh even on a bad day. When the candles burned low that night, Heather stood in the center of the crowd and made a promise. "I'm not going to let him be forgotten. My son will not be forgotten." And she's kept that promise. To this day, Heather continues to share Kai's story, not only to keep his memory alive, but to fight against the violence that stole him. "He was my world," she said. "If I can help save just one other kid by telling his story, then his light still shines." For everyone who knew Kai, the impact of his loss is something they'll carry forever. But so is his laughter, his kindness, and his unshakable spirit. Reminders that even in tragedy, love never truly dies. Even though Makye Kai Vogel is gone, his memory burns bright in every heart he ever touched. His friends still talk about him every day. His family keeps his name alive in every conversation, and his story has become a symbol of strength, love, and resilience in Jacksonville, Florida. In the years since his death, Kai's family has dedicated themselves to keeping his spirit alive through community events, vigils, and youth outreach. For his mom, Heather, every day is a battle between grief and hope. "I wake up thinking about him and I go to sleep thinking about him," she said. "But I also know he'd want me to keep living, to smile, to laugh again." Heather has turned her pain into purpose. She often speaks to local youth about making better choices, about love, respect, and the power of forgiveness. "If Kai's story can stop one more mom from crying like I did," she says, "then he didn't die for nothing." The community has rallied around her. Each April, near what would have been Kai's birthday, they gather at the park he used to play basketball in. They bring red and black balloons, his favorite colors, and release them into the sky. The event isn't just about remembering a life lost. It's about celebrating who Kai was. A protector, a friend, a son, and a light. Kids run around laughing, music plays, and photos of Kai flash across a screen. Him smiling, playing, and being the fun-loving boy everyone adored. Heather stands proudly among them, knowing her son's spirit is there too, smiling right back. "He wouldn't want sadness," she says softly. "He'd want love, joy, and peace." One of Kai's teachers, Mr. Reynolds, also speaks at the annual memorial. "Kai was the kind of student who didn't just make your day. He made your week," he said. "He had a way of making everyone feel seen. That kind of spirit doesn't disappear. It multiplies." His closest friends, Jerry and Elijah Peanut Carter, continue to honor him in their own ways. Jerry, who once played basketball with Kai every afternoon, now wears a bracelet engraved with his name. "It's a reminder," he said, "to live the way Kai did, with heart." Peanut, who still struggles with the pain of losing him, has started mentoring younger kids in their neighborhood, hoping to keep them away from violence. "If I can stop one kid from picking up a gun," he said, "then I'm doing it for Kai." It's a legacy built not on tragedy, but on transformation, the kind of love that grows stronger through pain. Even on social media, Kai's presence lives on. His page has become a memorial where people leave messages, photos, and memories. Every year on his birthday, it fills with posts like, "Happy Heavenly Birthday, Kai. We miss you, legend, and your light still shines." For his siblings, the journey hasn't been easy. Jaden, Anissa, and Amir still talk to him like he's there, sharing their achievements, their jokes, and even their struggles. Heather says that whenever something good happens, they all say the same thing: Kai would be proud. The family keeps his favorite things close, his Jordans, his red hoodie, his game controller, and a framed photo of him laughing. That big, bright smile that could lift anyone's spirit. And while the investigation into his murder remains ongoing, Heather refuses to let anger consume her. Justice matters, she says, but so does peace. I want his killer caught, yes, but more than that, I want the violence to stop. I want other kids to live. Her words have inspired many in Jacksonville. Local organizations have even reached out to partner with her in anti-violence campaigns, highlighting Kai's story as a message of awareness and hope. He had dreams, Heather said through tears. He wanted to make people proud. And in a way, he still is. Every time someone chooses kindness over hate, every time someone smiles instead of fights, that's Kai. In the end, Kai's story isn't just about loss. It's about the love that survives it. It's about a boy whose laughter still echoes, whose name still inspires, and whose memory refuses to fade. Heather often says that her son left behind more than heartbreak. He left behind a blueprint for how to live with love. And as she looks at the sky filled with red and black balloons each April, she whispers the same words she's whispered every night since that tragic day. I love you, Kai. I'll keep your light shining. Forever.